Okay, Nate here from fitnessequipmentcafe.com, and I'm at the Australian Fitness and Health Expo 2014 in Melbourne, and I'm here with Dan, who created the OOV. Dan, what's the OOV all about?
Well, basically that's an OOV. The idea behind the OOV is to decompress and lengthen the spine, right, while you're lying down on it with your pelvis in an open loop. So you're having to control your pelvis, and as you're lying on it, it actually is unstable rotationally, so it activates all your core muscles, gives your diaphragm somewhere to go, and you can start to use it as a core control, motor control, and eccentric training tool. So used in recovery or strength and conditioning as well.
So, I mean, why is it any different to a Swiss ball or a Bosu?
Well,
what makes it special?
A few things. The material, number one, you lay on it, right? So you know that it's actually soft enough to sort of support your back, but when it compresses, it only compresses to a point and pushes back. So you've always got that instability, number one. But number two, what it does is support your spine in that really nice lengthened axial elongation position where your hips are a little bit higher than your head, so you're decompressing the whole spine while you're at it, opening up all the discs up, and firing up your core while you're lying on it, as you felt.
Now, yeah, Daniel and I probably spent more than half an hour actually working on my back issues, and I can tell you, as soon as I got on it, it felt amazing. It just really opened me up. The one thing I think was amazing to me is that I didn't have a choice in the muscles that I used.
No, you can't cheat.
You can't cheat.
You can't cheat.
It virtually chose the muscles for you.
Yeah, totally.
And the right muscles, by the way.
So I'm not a big fan of bracing, right? And I think that...
Can you explain bracing?
Bracing means like, you know, trying to turn on specific muscles to control particular areas, because our body's designed to work sequentially, and if you interfere with that process by trying to turn something on, you can't turn one muscle on, something else is going to fire up as well. I'm much more about getting things working in a sequence. It's like, I don't know if you've ever played golf or played tennis, or you kick a footy. You know, if you really try really hard to hit something or kick something, the ball doesn't go very far.
No.
And when you just relax and let it go, like, it goes so much further.
Absolutely.
And that means that the kinematic sequence, or the sequence the muscles turn on in, is so much more efficient. So what its idea is to line your body up in a position, right, and create that rotational instability that you're firing the muscles from the inside out, not the outside in. So it's giving those big moving muscles something solid to work from.
Yeah, and I found that the TA was one great factor, because one of the things I've been taught through my back injury is like to turn that on, but then I went on to ultrasound with my physio and found that I was engaging way too much. But what the OOV does is that it literally it just turns it on that right amount, and if you try harder, it won't let you. But the other thing that I actually found,
we call it upregulation.
Okay.
So it upregulates the TA, right? But it doesn't fire it right up. So when you look at it on a real time, you can see it tighten up, just activate just a little bit. But when you lift the leg up, when you're lying on the OOV, and as you felt, it's really unstable.
Very much so.
That's when TA really fires up. Right. So it's almost like all this research has shown anyone with lower back pain that TA activates, but it activates in a delayed response. Okay. What it's doing is priming that TA up, so when you're even thinking about a movement, it's ready to go. So it's actually almost like initiating your movement from TA being up-regulated.
Absolutely. And the other thing that I found that was quite good is that the breathing. Naturally, I guess everyone's a chest breather virtually, and what does it do?
Well, it activates it. It actually means, because your head's lower than your hips, you can't use your secondary respiratory muscles that pull the rib cage up to breathe. So you have to go back into a primal breathing pattern, which is diaphragmatic breathing, right? And if you watch a baby when they're lying down, they're belly breathing, right? And it's what we should be doing, right? And if we're really tight, or if we're too flexed, then we can't. The diaphragm's got nowhere to go. So we got to use these muscles to pull us up, right? So the diaphragm's also part of the core. It's actually just sort of quite a new way of thinking about the core, but the diaphragm's a really important part of actually creating what Stuart McGill talks about, like intra-abdominal pressure, and sort of create a cylinder of your core to actually stabilize your trunk.
Fantastic.
And the diaphragm's a really key muscle in that.
Right. Now, I mean, we talked earlier about this. How did you actually come up with the concepts?
Well,
And how long ago?
quite a long time ago. I came up with the idea about 15 years ago.
And when did you launch it?
We officially launched it about a year and a half ago, but we've been working with the Australian Institute of Sport, elite sporting teams, rugby union league, AFL, golfers, tennis players, swimmers. Magnuson uses it as his warm-up program.
Yeah, so who does use it at the moment?
Oh, like, Australian swim team, Australian Olympic team, you took it over for London 2012.
Right.
We're just sending some over to New Zealand for their Commonwealth Games team. The Aussie guys are going to use it. So as I said, Magnuson, before he's on pool deck, used it as his warm-up tool.
Wow.
They also incorporated it as a strength and conditioning program as part of their core stability work.
Right.
We've got pro golfers, we've got tennis players.
Right.
So I work with physios around the world.
And your background is...
I'm an osteo by trade,
Right.
but sort of what we do is a lot of neuro brain training sort of stuff with these guys as well, and trying to get their body, as you felt, in a position that it actually fires up correctly.
Right.
But I came up with the idea because I was like you, I hurt my back.
Yep.
And I was trying to get my body in a position where I could feel those deep muscles turning on while it didn't compress my disc and cause that nerve pain down my back, and I injured it in an accident.
Right.
And so I started thinking about how do I make that happen, and one of the things I found using little Pilates balls and blow-up balls and all the rest of it was that the more that I actually lengthen my spine and decompress it, the more, and then put myself on something unstable, the more that it fired up those deep muscles like TA and multifidi, etc. The more that I actually felt like when I got up that something was holding me up again and not letting my disc collapse, like what happens in the morning when you wake up. So that's where it's sort of like, okay, I need to create something unstable to support the spine, but activate the TA, and it's got to be unstable rotationally, hence the U.
Absolutely. Well, that's really great. Daniel, can you tell me where can you get this from?
Well, HF Industries is our distributor for the fitness market. We also have an online store for retail, and it comes with a free app.
Right.
So that free app goes through a week-to-week program, unlocks a different level every week until you get to the end of the month that you can actually perform all the basic tasks. Then you can go into some more apps that we're building at the moment, like sport-specific ones, like a golfing one, a tennis one, a swimming one, which has been based on our experience of working with all these elite athletes on what movement patterns and what you need to strengthen on.
Great. And so really this product isn't necessarily for people with existing back pain, but I mean you're using it in the sporting environment. You're using
totally.
it, your weekend warriors could benefit from this.
Totally.
Your professional athletes.
What we're finding what's working really well is with all the training guys and all the trainers that we work in, that so much training is actually about concentric loading muscles up. And at the end of your program, stretching doesn't really get at it. And as we did with some really slow eccentric training where you're loaded but making the muscle work instead of a shortened state in a lengthened state, and then the brain rebalances it all, right?
So it's very much brain training as well.
Brain training, and it's an amazing recovery tool because you're bringing in breathing, eccentric training, motor control, that after you've had a big workout, right, instead of doing a big sort of stretching session, you get on, you do 5 minutes like we just did, and your body just feels so different. Everything moves so much more, and you've actually also taken the body into a parasympathetic state rather than a sympathetic state.
Absolutely. Well, Daniel ran me through a really great, just a very quick program, and I have been getting some back pain, particularly being here at the expo and not having a chance to do my own exercise. I've been too busy running around and doing everything, and I tell you, I just feel so much more open up. I feel like I've gained back the few inches I lost with the back damage, and it's a wonderful product, Daniel. You should be very proud of yourself. So, it's great. Daniel, we basically we've covered virtually everything. Now, in terms of fitness instruction, is this something that you could apply to a class?
Oh, absolutely. We've already got group exercise happening in quite a few centres, both here in Australia and New Zealand. Some bigger gym chains are looking at it as well. And the idea is to do a group exercise program ranging from 15 minutes to 45 minutes, depending on what level and what they want to do, whether they want to duck in and do a 15-minute group exercise stretching class at the end of a workout, or a more difficult core stability, high intensity sort of workout as far as core workout goes in the 45-minute class. So we're already doing that. There are already some facilities using the group exercise.
Excellent. Yep.
And the response has been great, especially from a lot of trainers
Yep.
who are getting on it and realizing that they're not so good at balancing, right? Because
They'd hate that.
yeah, and they want to master it. So the idea is that the more tight your muscles are,
Yep.
the harder it is for your body to balance.
Yep.
So it has to learn to relax a muscle also to start to balance. So
And that actually, I mean, that's actually one of the points I was going to say, that when I was laying on that floor and doing that, it made me feel very vulnerable. And I guess the reason why we like to be tight and stiff is because that feels more natural, but
More
it really,
stable.
it's the opposite, isn't
actually,
it?
and
Yeah.
there's all these studies on rigidity strategy, and
right.
dysfunction of movement is when the body, to actually make up for a weakness, over recruits all the big muscles around it,
Right.
and it's called a rigidity strategy. And it's been shown, you know, in research that this is actually where dysfunctional movement actually takes place.
Yeah, gotcha.
And the fact that we're training our bodies to be rigid is actually quite insane, because it's
Yep.
actually such a protective mechanism for an injury, and you would have felt that with your
Absolutely.
surgery, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what you want to do is you want to get everything working as a team,
Yep.
and that's what is much more intelligent movement rather than just trying to turn everything on at the same time, which is why I talked about bracing before,
Yep.
and why I wasn't such a big fan of that.
Fantastic. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.